Welcome ladies and gentlemen, today I want to show you the Magicka Sorc PvP build that I'm gonna run in Horns of the Reach. It's a pretty basic setup when we look at our stats. Fully buffed more or less. Like we have really nice Magicka recovery, max Magicka and stem. Actually it's gonna be a little bit higher, I will explain in a second why. Spell damage is also decent and we have nice resistances. I'm using the Arch Mundo Stone. If you want, you actually can be a vampire. It's actually pretty nice. 10% extra magic recovery. Just be aware of this. This is gonna hurt. Now, what race? You can be a high elf, dark elf, Breton. Doesn't really matter, but overall I prefer high elf because more max like Magicka and magic recovery, which is nice. In terms of buff food or drink, we're gonna run the Witch Mother's Potent Brew. There's barely any difference in max stats and it gives us a ton of extra magic recovery. Potions, you can run Tri-Stat, or you can run those here, you can run those here. There's a lot of good choices. I usually prefer either those or those, because I just like CC immunity in general. On my website you can find the full build, link in the description below. And I also put the ingredients how to craft those pots there. In terms of gear, so 5 Shackle, 5 Destruction Mastery, and then I recommend running One Piece Dummy House. It's a new set, I don't have it yet, but the One Piece gives you a Magicka bonus and a Stamina bonus. That's why I'm saying you will have like 14k stem in the end. Infused on the big pieces, and now it depends like impen on the small pieces. And Destruction Mastery doesn't exist impen, so I like to dodge roll a lot, so well fitted can come in handy. If you want more recovery for your Mundo Stone, you can run Divine, or you just can try to get the big pieces with alteration, with the Destruction Mastery here and here, so you can run impen on all the small pieces. I have a magic recovery, spell damage, magic recovery, and you don't necessarily need to run Destruction Mastery. Like if you wanna, I know a lot of people run with resto stuff on the back bar, but I usually play in a small group, so I prefer double like destruction stuff. Another set would be Alteration Mastery. It is really nice. Like this set gives you a lot of overall cost reduction and just nice magic recovery and all that kind of stuff, and it comes in impen. But yeah, overall Shackle Breaker, one of the top sets definitely for Magicka Sorcs, or for overall Magicka setups in PvP, because you get so much stats out of this, it's insane. Weapons, so this here is my front bar. I have a Nirnhound weapon because Sharpened got slightly nerfed, so I prefer Nirnhound now because it also gives you increased damage on shields and all that kind of stuff. With Oblivion enchant, you also can run a shock enchantment. I'm just experimenting a little bit around. Why a shock enchantment? Because of implosion. Because whenever you deal shock damage you have a 6% chance to instantly execute the enemy, dealing like 15k shock damage. That's a lot. That's why I say if you want to run a shock damage. And the back bar I have an infused damage, undead and Aether enchantment. Now why do I run this? Basically everybody's a vampire because you just, like the buffs you get is just really strong. So this is gonna hurt. You see, almost 9k damage. Sure, it's gonna get cut in half, but also reduce cooldown. So it's gonna proc, I think almost every like 2.5 seconds. So if you fight versus the vampires, they're gonna get into trouble. Flame Staff back bar. Flame Staff front bar and Lightning Staff back bar. Why the flame front? Because this here, Ancient Knowledge. Flame Staff increases your damage done with single target abilities by 8%. That's why. Because we have like crystal fragments and all that kind of stuff. Crushing Shock, Crystal Frag. Yeah, that's more or less it, I guess. I'm not sure, I think Curse is AoE. I will get to the skills in a second. CP, like again, this is a guide, right? Just take out the ideas or stuff you learned and adjust your own build. Don't just copy paste. Because this might work for me, but it might not work for you. 48 Warlord, 6 Sprinter. Like this is actually nice to break free, because you will have to break free a lot unless you use CC pots. Then 64 here, 43 here. Like you can run this here in tenacity, it doesn't really matter, it's up to you. Tumbling 31 and 22 Shadow War, so we have them split up quite a bit, so we benefit from a lot of things. 40 Elfborn, 49 Elemental Expert, 65 Spell Erosion. This is nice because we don't have a sharpened weapon anymore, so you get spell penetration through here and through a passive from light armor. 40 Master Dance, 20 Shattering Blows, and here nothing. Then yeah, 28, 25, 137, 37 and 66. This is very important because as a Sorc you really want to shield stack, otherwise you're gonna get into trouble. If you let your shields drop, you are dying. That's the thing. That's what you need to realize. Okay, in terms of skills, that's just how I like to have my bars set up. Hardened Ward, this is the strongest shield you can get. It's quite expensive, but still. Crystal Fragments, so this can instantly proc. Your hands will glow like this. Only use it when it really... Don't hard cast it, just make sure it gives you the insta proc, because you see 3.443k cost, but when I get the insta proc, the cost goes down to 1.4k Magicka, so this is really strong. Crushing Shock, why not Force Pulse? Simple, you can interrupt casting enemies with this. It will kind of knock them back a little bit, set them off balance and all that kind of stuff. Just interrupts them, so it's kind of annoying, you don't get damage. Dark Conversion, now you see I don't run a rest of stuff on the back bar because we have the Surge here and we have Harness Magicka and the Hardened Ward. So I just instead of the healing ward, I just like to use the Dark Conversion. Worked quite well for me, so you get back health and Magicka. And if you run the Dummy House set, you actually will have like 14k stem, so it's not really a problem. Then Streak, probably your most important skill, stuns enemies, and you just need to keep moving. Don't just stand on the ground fighting enemies. You need to keep moving around and all that kind of stuff, otherwise you're gonna die. Eye of Flame, really strong, cannot be blocked, cannot be dodge rolled, so everything will rip that stays in it more or less, unless they spam healing like crazy. Boundless Storm, I still like to get the Major Resolve and Major Ward, but also the Major Expedition when you cast it, and it deals small shock damage, chance of proccing Concussion, which increases damage on the enemy by 8%, and it also has the chance to proc Implosion. So I just overall really like it. Yeah, it just enables fast movement and all that kind of stuff. Blockade of Storms. Now, don't see a lot of people run this, but I actually quite like it, because first off, when the enemy is concussed, it gets off balanced, can get more damage and all that kind of stuff, and just it's a really nice dot. And you see the field is quite big, it actually gets applied to. So it's just another thing that pressures the enemy. Harness Magicka, really nice. The more Magicka you have, the higher your you will restore more Magicka. That's really nice. So if you have lower Magicka, you will not restore that much. So that's why we have like 42k max Magicka. I tried running Amber Pleasant, but it gave me less stats, and I kinda prefer Shackle performed better than Amber. Most likely because we have more max Magicka, and because of Harness Magicka is one of the reasons. Haunting Curse, really strong, quite cheap actually, well cheap, it still costs a lot, but you can keep the pressure on the enemy, it cannot be blocked, you can cleanse it, but yeah, that's about it. It also cannot be dodge rolled and all that kind of stuff, so really nice. Power Surge gives us the spell damage, and also you see, dealing a critical strike heals you for 3000 health. That's really nice. Like, that's why I say for me this year and the dark conversion is more or less enough. But like I said, if you're a solo player, maybe run Healing Ward with resto stuff on the back bar. I just play in a group of like 2 to 4 people most of the times, so I have other heals there. Other than that, negate, just like when you see those heavy armor, Magicka Temple spamming Breath of Life, you want to root them, suppression field, bam, they cannot move out of it, they cannot cast abilities, they are going to die. Just needs to be comboed really well. If you want to run a third bar on the back bar, like with overload, go for it, but I don't think it's necessary. You will have enough kills with this. Mage is rough. Do you want this ability? It's actually pretty nice to steal AP and that kind of stuff, so if you don't want blockade or shock, you can run this here. And you see, if the enemy falls to or below 20% health within 4 seconds, so then it's really strong, this ability, and an explosion deals an additional 12k shock damage to them and 4.4k shock damage to other enemies. So it's really strong. You can put this on the enemy more or less, the first hit deals damage. Then if the dude falls below 20%, it's gonna give this explosion. It's just really strong. I guess that's more or less it. I will try to stream with this build a bit on Twitch, so make sure to follow me there once I'm back in Germany. Till then, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you next time. Cheers.